Hello. Today we're going to talk about something that came out of somebody's mouth. We did a, I don't know what you call it. We call it testimonial, but a success story. Okay. Through chiropractic, and this gal's story, it'll be coming out in about a month, but it was just heartbreaking and amazing all at the same time. So she talked about her fertility struggles, and the story will come out in detail, but basically her unsuccessful attempts at having a baby with her husband had started her down this rabbit hole of, I need to find out what's wrong with me. We're put on this planet to have babies. And if I don't have a diagnosis, then I don't have like a path to lead on. I don't have that carrot to follow. And so what came out of her mouth was, I was desperate to find out what was wrong with me. And so I just got to thinking, like, how it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, someone had mentioned to me, as long as you always have a carrot and you're always moving forward, like you're always chasing something, you continue to move forward in life. And that carrot could be in all 10 areas of your life, or 2 major ones, or one that's been, that you've maybe struggled with your whole life, or you're working to overcome. Whatever it is, always having something to strive for, to shoot for, to improve upon. And so in her world, it was to be a mom. It was to have birth babies. She knew she could adopt, but she felt like with all the testing over a span of 4 years, they never knew what was wrong. And so she never felt really confident that the path they were going on was the right one and would get them to their goal of having or carrying a successful baby full term. And so I got to thinking, like, how many of us are really struggling to have the diagnosis attached to it, so you know that there's something wrong. Therefore, in our mind, we think there's going to be a treatment, because our body is brilliant in how it adapts to our stress. So if it's not adapting as well, or it just continues to adapt really well, and you're in a landslide, as you may call it, you want a diagnosis then to think that there's a treatment for that symptom. And so what I kept telling this gal is, when she would say, well, I'm so frustrated, there's nothing wrong. And I said, but that's amazing. She's like, no, that's not amazing. No, that is amazing. And so for the first year, well, for the last 3 years, I guess, but for the first year, we worked so much on mindset. We worked so much on her body not being broken and having the ability to still do what it's supposed to. But right now, how it's adapting to stress puts it in overload. It's like the bandwidth is low. It cannot handle everything coming in, or everything that you're trying to do on your cell phone. It's like being in a 1 bar not having Wi-Fi. It is just going to overload it, and it slows down, and it's sludgy, and you can't get the information appropriately. And so as much as she didn't understand that at that moment, continually reminding her that her body was perfect in what it was adapting to at that moment, that is what helped her know that she was moving in the right direction. Not that there was a diagnosis attached to it, and now you're put in this pool, and these are the treatment options. This is specifically for fertility, but it's everything. It's if it's heart, if it's blood pressure, if it's gallstones, if it's bladder infection, if it's chronic sinus infections, whatever the case may be, we do testing, we do imaging, we do everything known to man to try to figure out the disease or the diagnosis. So then that must give us that straight roadmap. And it's not a straight roadmap to treatment or to heal. It's understanding that when we get to that place of overload or low bandwidth or too high of stress in our body isn't adapting, it's about understanding how we need to now take care of ourselves a little different, how our brain needs to slow down, rest, and repair so that it can start to respond to the stimuli different. So this is I had somebody last week when we were talking about brilliant and broken, mentioned that a few people mentioned that it's confusing and frustrating all at the same time, because when we're struggling with something, it's really hard not to think we're broken, aka diagnosed or finding that problem, instead of understanding that right now our body is adapting to everything that we're thinking, feeling, and doing. And so in order to change it, we need to think, feel, do different. And we need to get our brain and the rest of our body to be an open circuit and being able to connect without interference. So, so if you're looking for that diagnosis, maybe just step back and see the last 6 months, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, as to when things started to unravel, or when life started to maybe get the best of you, or when you started noticing the effects of your stress in your life. And then see that it happened in it happened in beautiful order, so that we can see it and now look at what do we need to do now to change that course, to change how our brain responds, to change how it's reacting to maybe what your past was. So we're so stuck in that protective mode. Whatever it is, we can heal in the same way that it took for us to get to that problem. And we don't need a name associated with it. We need the awareness that how we're living life right now isn't maybe how you want to continue living. Or if I continue doing, thinking, and feeling what I am right now, in 5 years, it's not going to feel that good. And so understanding where we are now is all because of our past choices, essentially, and that we can change that to move forward. So comment if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks, guys, and have a great weekend.